All right, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having fun with your solar projects. Today we're going to get around to doing something that I've been asked for quite a bit, and it's been on my list to do for a super long time. We're actually going to load this system down and see how far we can push it. We're going to see, of the biggest loads in my house, what all can be run, and we'll also see, how much of an imbalance can this system take. So let's get started. So we've got two Victron MultiPlus-II 5 kVA inverters set up in split phase. We've been using them for the past several months, and I have not once had to actually look at my loads to see exactly, do I have enough power to turn on this next thing? I just haven't had to do it. And that's all well and good for what I've got connected, but what about the last few things in the house that I haven't connected yet? The dryer, the oven, the air conditioner. Will this system be able to run those loads? So we're going to dive right in. We're going to start off with the tried and true air conditioner test. I'm going to have Ian head over to the panel on the other side of the camera, and he's going to turn off the connection between these inverters and the grid. And then we'll go through, we'll prep and backfeed these inverters through my other grid-tied panel so that we can actually power those units temporarily to see how well they're going to work. So Ian, you want to head over there and flip that switch for me? So the panel that you're seeing right now is our grid-tied panel. It's actually a sub-panel coming off of the main grid-tied panel. But this is where our solar supply comes in, which supplies power from the grid to our MultiPlus inverters. So Ian, the double breaker in the bottom right-hand corner, yellow label says solar supply. Can you turn that off? So that is going to isolate any potential looping or backflowing when we go and make our change to get inverter power to that panel that you're seeing now. So I know there is an ESS mode on these inverters which allows you to backfeed through the AC input and actually backfeed and send power from these inverters back to your grid-tied connections, and it uses some CT clamps and everything. I'm going to be testing that in a future video. For this test right now, though, I am going to go disable my generator interlock kit, kill my main grid connection at the main panel, and then I'm going to feed power backwards through to the panel that you just saw Ian turn off the breaker on. If you want to know a little bit more, I'll link to the air conditioner video where I did walk through that a little bit. But just know that these inverters are going to be powering that grid-tied panel for this test. All right, it's a little bit darker in here. All we have is the video lights going on right now. We have made our necessary changes. So all Ian has to do is flip this top switch, and it should be supplying power to every load in the entire house. So Ian, I swear, anytime you're working with power and those stupid multimeters time out on you and they start beeping, freaks you out. Every time. All because we forget to turn the thing off. Ian,
flip the switch.
Flip the switch and don't blow up the house. You gotta, oh wait, stop. Remember we talked about this last time. One hand. You don't want to be leaning up against the panel. You need to use one hand. Hard click. There we go.
We have power!
Okay, so looking at our loads right now, we're pulling 1.27 kilowatts right now out of the entire system. There's that stupid multimeter again. So we're going to see if everything works or if it loses power like it did last time with the old system. All right, so I've got the camera set up on the air conditioner. I've got a camera upstairs on Ian. And we've got our screen recording going. We're pulling about 1.6 kilowatts right now off of the system as a whole. Looks like leg 2 is pulling the most right now. Again, I'm guessing it's probably the refrigerator. So I guess if the lights go out, it doesn't work. If the lights stay on, then it works. I'll try to stand to the side so that you can still see a little bit of the display, but also there's the same indicators that are here are also right here on the remote display. So we've got 4 indicators corresponding to the same lights over here. So, all right, let's see what happens. All right, Ian, go ahead and switch the thermostat to air conditioner mode and then drop it down to 65 degrees, please.
All right.
Yes! It worked! Oh, you know, it's a stupid little thing. But we're only pulling just under 4 kilowatts right now. And they worked. I mean, the lights freaked out. Yes! It works! Now, I don't have enough battery capacity to be able to actually run it like this all the time. But just the fact that it actually works, and I had a feeling that it might because these are low frequency inverters. And now I hear that the blower's kicking in, so it's starting to ramp up. We're at 3.96 kilowatts right now. Four kilowatts running. That's nothing. That's nothing for this system. And again, this air conditioner startup, I have talked about putting a soft start on, but I hadn't done it yet because I wanted to see, without the soft start, how does everything work? And it, you know, the lights got dim, but they worked. Awesome. All right, now for some more load tests. So looking at the loads now, everything's kind of come back down. We're at 615 watts out of the entire house right now. Looks like the refrigerator finally turned off. I've got Ian upstairs in the laundry room, and we have moved over our load of laundry into the dryer. And for the very first time, we're gonna fire up the dryer and see how this works. Forgot where my microphone was. All right, Ian, go ahead, set it to mixed loads, and then fire up the dryer, please.
Okay. And start.
That was nothing. Faint blink. Not even really a blink of the lights. We're pulling 6.3 kilowatts right now. My wife sounds like she's blending something up in the kitchen as well. But we've got about a fairly even 3 kilowatts per leg right now, with the dryer running, pulling about 5,700 watts out of the battery. That's pretty cool, though. I know that this is one of the largest loads in the house. But again, just knowing that this system can run it, and then you got to keep in mind the dryer, once it gets up to temp, is going to cycle on and off. So it's not going to use all that power for the entire cycle. All right, so we know that it has the ability to run the dryer. So we're going to shut that down. I want to switch over to the stovetop and the oven and just see what kind of power usage we get pulling off of that. And then that'll show you kind of the biggest electric loads that I have in the house and whether or not this system can run those. And then once we look at that stove and oven, then we're going to transition into how hard can we push this. We'll try it with some resistive loads to see how high we can push it up. And then we will try it with some inductive loads as well. And then we're going to look at leg imbalance. You know, what happens if one leg has more power being drawn off of it, and how far of a spread can you get with that imbalance? But we'll see where we get, and we're going to have some fun doing it. See when these lights end up going out. it helps to have the dumb screen recording going, because I can sit here and I can talk about the values that the inverter is displaying, but if you can't see it, it don't help much. So we get to do it all over again. So screen recording's going again. So we're gonna take a look at our stove top and our oven and look at the different burners and the values for each element. So we're gonna turn on the left front on high. And we can see that we're up to about 3 kilowatts of usage, which is, what did I say? It's like 2,400 watts, a 2,400 watt element. And then we've got the small elements, which take it up to about 1,000 watts. So looking at this stove, we've got 2 big ones and 3 small ones. The 3 small ones would be, you know, about 1,000 watts a piece, maybe 1,100. And then we said, what, 2,400 for that. And then we've got the oven set to 375 and bake. And we look at the screen for that. And we're pushing just under 4 kilowatts, which means that you're like 3.4 kilowatts for the oven element. Oh, and I forgot there's a broil element on this too.
What?
We didn't test that one last time, so it's a good thing we had to redo this. So if we turn off that and just switch to broil on high, see, now that's a much bigger element. So that jumps everything up to 4.46, which means that you're 3.8 kilowatts roughly.
Now we should turn the burners on with broil.
So yeah, we should kind of see how far we can push this thing now that I had forgotten we have a broil option. So Ian, you want to turn on the right front large element? And the downside with this test is this area gets real warm real fast. This is kind of like a winter test, not a summer test. 6.82 kilowatts, we're pulling 3.25 on leg 1 and 3.55 on leg 2. All right, Ian, be very careful and turn on that right rear element on high. We've got, you know, oven being a purely resistive load, this should be able to really push this system. We're at 7.89 kilowatts, 4.09 on leg 2 and 3.79 on leg 1. All right, and again, very carefully, let's turn the warming zone on. I know you almost feel like you need a fan going or something. Just under 8 kilowatts. Not too bad. All right, let's turn on the rear over here. We have a overload light blinking on the inverter, which you can see on our display here, the red blinking light. Our AC loads are currently at 9.05, 9.06 kilowatts. We've got most of these elements on except for this last one, and this last one is going to really push it up high because the broil is a lot hotter than the bake. So we're going to see what happens. Are all the lights going to go out when we turn on this last one? We're currently pulling 9.05 kilowatts. Let's find out on high. 11.4 kilowatts. Our overload light is blinking. I'm starting to sweat just standing here. I don't want to stand this close. But we're at 5 point, okay, and there goes power. So we just killed the system. I actually don't even know what the last load was at. Let's turn all these off. And I don't even know if this system has a restart or not, because I've never actually tripped the system before.
Also,
Oh, there's our restart. It tried to.
yeah,
Something tried to.
it didn't work though. Caution.
We can.
There we go.
And there's our power back on. Low battery voltage. Yeah, overcurrent protection. So yeah, that was not a limit of the inverters. Either way, really cool being able to actually push this system.
Push it to the limits.
If I had larger breakers, obviously I could go further. My BMSs are 200 amp BMSs, but I just don't have it configured for that amount of draw. So we pushed it that far. It was still kind of a fun test to try. So let's see how far we can push it with some inductive loads. I've got 4 vacuum cleaners plus a handful of other different things that we can turn on to try and raise that and see what happens from the inductive load side instead of the, purely resistive load side. So I know I said my first test, I forgot to start the screen recording, but I decided to come back and look at the VRM data for that test. So we can see right here the output, volts and amps. We're about 45, 47 amps on each leg. And then you can see over here, this was our test where everything tripped and the system shut down. So it didn't even record that it got up past 11 kilowatts. So 1536, so if we come down here, we can see our output power at 1536. We've got 5.2 on one leg and 5.3 on the other. So we're just shy of 11 kilowatts. And we can see, if we look back up here, we still have a stable output. And I didn't run it for a significant amount of time because, again, it was getting way too warm. But we had a stable output the entire time until we got over that 11 kilowatts. And that's when things ended up shutting down. So I just kind of wanted to show you the draw that we had on that first test. Even though I didn't have the actual recording going, it was the same test. It's just I forgot that we even had a broil option. So every burner was turned on. We just had bake running on the oven and not broil. And it ran it with no problems. We're going to try some inductive loads on this system. I believe the water heater kicked in, which is why the current draw is up to 4.84. We'll just leave that on, and then we'll also add in these other inductive loads. So Ian's got 4 different vacuums upstairs, 2 on each inverter that we're going to turn on and try and push things up a little bit. All right, Ian, go ahead and turn on all 4 vacuums. And it figures as soon as the test starts, then the water heater turns off. But that's fine. We can add the well pump in there at least. I can hear him running around upstairs trying to turn things on because they're all across the house. Okay, there's... Oh, nope, that was my wife's drill. All right, so we're at, 1.2 on one and 2.3 on the other. Yeah, it's hard to do inductive load tests, significant inductive load tests. All right, I just turned on the dehumidifier downstairs. Ian's going to turn on the cold water, which will kick the well on. Trying to think of other resistive loads we can add. Inductive loads. Ian, why don't you go out to the shop and turn on the air compressor and plug in the shop vac and turn that one on too, please.
Okay.
So we're at 5 kilowatt total. The well just kicked in. Trying to get this pushed up high. Air compressor, shop vac. What else can I turn on? Running around, kicking on ceiling fans, box fans. So we're at 8.4 kilowatts right now. We do have an overload light blinking on Inverter 2. Inverter 2 is at 5.32 kilowatts. We're pulling 174 amps out of the battery. Say, Ian must have turned on the compressor. Did you say you turned on the compressor in the barn?
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So yeah, that's, hello, kitty. 5.3 kilowatts. So something just turned off. I bet you it was the compressor just turned off. We're down to 4.3. What other load can I turn on? Hey, Ian, turn on the kitchen sink cold water and turn on the garbage disposal, please. Stop hitting the camera thing. Tripod, blah. 6.9 kilowatts total. L2 is 4.3. L1's not really doing much of anything right now. 134 amps out of the battery. Inductive loads, inductive loads. This is not as easy as it looks, people. I'll be right back.
It died.
Whoopsies. So yeah. I accidentally turned the air conditioner back on. I was trying to just turn the fan on. Whoops. Overload, overload, low battery. So yeah, we've got overload lights here. Oh man, I didn't get to see the screen when it all turned off either. All right, so I'm getting a flashing, you see it? Flashing bulk light when the system's down. It says code 3, not all or more devices, expected devices are found in the system. Communication cable error, check the cables, switch off everything, and then turn it back on again. So let's just go ahead and turn everything off. And back on again. And we have everything back on. So that was it was kind of a fun test. It's not easy to find those inductive loads to push the system, but I mean, I think I had almost every single one in the house turned on and running. But I didn't want to add the resistive loads into it as well. I was trying to see, you know, inductive load. Well, I guess let's try the imbalance aspect. An imbalance of loads. I know I should be able to put a bunch of stuff on leg 1 and push it. So let's see where that takes us. All right, Ian, go ahead and turn on 2 vacuum cleaners, please. So we're at 2.2 on leg 1. Go ahead and turn on the 3rd one, please. .4, 3.34. All right, go ahead and turn on the 4th one, please.
Okay.
That didn't really seem to do much on that one. All right, go ahead and set 5 minutes on the 1st microwave, please.
Started.
Yes. So we're at 4 kilowatts on inverter 1. So we've got a 4 kilowatt imbalance going on right now. And it's handling things. Should we push it? All right, Ian, go ahead, turn on the other microwave, please, for 5 minutes. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Fan just kicked on. It don't like that. And the lights went out. 6 kilowatts. Overload on inverter 1. Still. I mean, it easily handled the 4 kilowatt imbalance. And then kicking it up to 6. That was still pretty neat. I mean, being able to handle that much of an imbalance. Pretty fun test, I have to say. All right. Well, what did we learn? I don't know. It was still fun. Well, we learned that we can really push the system from the resistive load standpoint. I mean, we had everything running on the oven, and it seemed like it was actually the BMSs that actually turned everything off in the house, but it was running, at least from what I remember seeing, 11 kilowatts. No problem. Yeah, I know I didn't have a timer going or anything until, things actually turned off, but it still was able to run that load for a period of time. If I wouldn't have pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, we probably could have left it on and just saw, how long can it run this. And maybe at some point we'll do something like that too. But at least we know that it has the ability to push things past the limits, which I kind of expected from a Victron inverter. All right, well, with that, folks, we're gonna let y'all go. Y'all stay safe, stay cool, and we'll catch up with you later.